Life as We Know It with Tom Walton.
I hope you won't think less of me today when I tell you that I indulge in a fantasy of mine, and I do so with a passion. Now, before you start imagining something you can't unsee, let me clarify. My fantasy of passion is fantasy baseball. Yes, the sport that I have played and watched since childhood now fuels my senior years by allowing me to manage my own fantasy baseball team. My son-in-law set up a fantasy baseball league many years ago at yahoo.com. And every baseball season, he and I and my son and several other friends and family members engage in generally cordial competition. My team is called Willie Mays Hayes, with Hayes spelled H-A-Z-E, a little wordplay with the character in the wonderful movie Major League. We have an online draft of players before the season begins. Then we manage our teams every day during the long 6-month Major League season. That means we each have to set our lineups 162 times. It is not an easy assignment, especially if you have a life that demands your time in other areas. So the draft is critical. With just 10 teams, every team gets a couple of elite players in the first and second rounds. So typically the 10 teams in our league come out of the draft fairly evenly matched. But the draft, while important, is only part of the job. The team I start the season with is never the team I end the season with. Stuff happens. Injuries pile up. Hitters forget how to hit. Pitchers lose 2 miles an hour on their fastball. As a manager, you got to keep up. So what separates the contenders from the pretenders at season's end? In a word, habit. Setting my lineup every day is as much a part of my daily routine as my first cup of coffee. It's a responsibility every fantasy manager must take seriously. Otherwise, you can discover in your horror that one of your players hit 2 home runs and had 7 RBIs the night before, and you forgot to start him on your fantasy team. This is tragic, my friends, and so unnecessary. Consequently, I do 2 things every morning after I pour my coffee. I check to see who got hurt, who's hot and who's not, who's pitching that day, and then I set my lineup for the evening's games. Then and only then, I read the blade. It's all about priorities, you know. I tend to make a lot of personnel changes over the season, dropping one unproductive player and picking up one who hopefully will perform better. Sometimes a star suffers a season-long slump. Sometimes a rookie comes out of nowhere to bash 20 home runs. You have to stay on top of this stuff. My son-in-law is also the league commissioner. He added a new rule. Only 75 such transactions allowed over the course of the season. I think it was aimed at me, but I've adjusted. Over the years, I've been fortunate to win the league several times, but I have also finished last. We don't play for money, which keeps things civil for the most part, but we do play for bragging rights, although the bragging is short-lived. 2 days after the season ends, we forget who won. Almost immediately, I begin thinking about our next draft in the spring. If that's a character flaw, and I suspect it is, I'll just have to live with it. Come next April, Willie Mays Hayes will be ready.
Life as We Know It is written and hosted by Tom Walton and is a production of WGTE Public Media. Life as We Know It with Tom Walton can be heard on WGTE FM 91 every Monday afternoon during All Things Considered at 5:44 p.m. Or hear past episodes at wgte.org/life.